So the four schools have been included amongst that, among ahlus-sunnah. So anyone outside of the four schools, and in particular those who are from the creed of Abu Hassan Ash'ari, the Maturidi, and mainstream Hanbali belief, although historically the Hanbalis were not really included in terms, those who had different aqidah from Maturidi and Ash'ari, they were historically were not included among ahlus-sunnah, at least by the mainstream Maturidi and Ash'ari, because they considered their beliefs to be anthropomorphic in a sense, and so were outside of the realm of ahlus-sunnah, were considered to be people of bid'ah. And so, whereas today there are some who argue that they're included also within those parameters. And so it gets very sticky, you see, that some who may argue for that, I would think that for me, from what I can see and know of the Islamic history, there's no basis to make an argument that these are three schools, all three of them were accepted historically, which I don't see any evidence for that, but some have made that claim today. But at the same time, I'm not averse to being more accommodating of others in terms of their beliefs. I have no problem with people who can find a valid defense for some of the things that are attributed to Ibn Taymiyyah, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahmatullahi alayhi. If there's some valid tafsir of some of the problematic statements that he's made, or even things that he was accused of doing, which fall into the category of tantheel, so actually portraying or illustrating how Allah does something, that I have no problem with that. In general, we should avoid taking positions about the dead. Their hisabuhum ala Allah, their reckonings with God. But in terms of the people of today, I just think that we should interact with every individual as an individual, whether they originate from the Shi'i or Ibadi or whatever, Ismaili, whatever particular faction they come from, then we should interact with them with the type of prophetic gentleness that we learn from our Messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam, in hopes that if there is something seriously wrong with what they believe and how they practice, that perhaps we can reach them because of them feeling the warmth and the sincerity that comes from us, that tells them that we have genuine concern about your well-being, your spiritual well-being. And I think that's the better approach, and that's the approach that our Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we see him taking throughout his seerah. You see it over and over and over. And so what's happened is that the codification, catechization of the creed, doctrine, and the law has gotten Muslims more focused on what's in the book than actually lived experience. Whereas, you might have a good relationship with a Shi'i today, but all of a sudden you learn as a Sunni you're supposed to deal with them in a certain way, then all of a sudden you become harsh. You follow me? That's the biggest problem. You see, it's because it's it becomes what we call, it's not even theology anymore, because it's actual aqidah or belief or creed. It's dogma. It's dogma. We learn from the books, alhamdulillah, with all the respect, to the ulama, and we study these books, and we should continue to study them, like the Tahawiyah and the Jawhara Tawheed and books like that. We should study them, and there's a whole lot to learn from them. But at the same time, we have to be very careful to buy into the sectarianism that they reinforce and the parochialism that are reinforced by many people who teach these texts today. They teach them in a way whereas they want you to be concerned about affiliation with certain groups and your dislocation from others. And that becomes the most important thing. You're being concerned about you living up, following your principles, the principles of your school, as opposed to more broader principles which are taught by the Quran and were taught by the Sunnah of the Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So hopefully that gives you a good answer.